It's time to wake up, witches. I'm your host, Kat Adams, and I'm here to remind you that no matter where you're at in life, you're not stuck. Hello, lovelies. I am coming to you from the dawn hours of the early morning. That is Saturday. And yes, I'm up early on a Saturday because it's Mother's Day weekend. And I was like, I want to get up at dawn. It's my favorite part of the day. And although I want to sleep late because I really need my sleep, I just want to get up early and I want to watch these white egrets that have been at this lake behind my house. And every morning, this morning when I've woken up, there's been like probably around 30 of them. And they do this every year. So I never have the time to just go sit and watch them. But I wanted to do that this morning. And lo and behold, I went out there and there's like 3. There's not 30, but it was still interesting to watch them and just relax and not have to hurry and get ready for work. So that's how my magical morning has started. And if I sound like crap, apologies. I've been battling a summer cold. And also yesterday, as a YOLO treat myself, I got my lips done. I did. I am a lip injection virgin, or I was, but I got them done yesterday and they look great, except they're pretty swollen and it just feels weird still and kind of painful, but I didn't go crazy. But if that's your thing, if you want to go crazy, go crazy. I just always wanted slightly bigger lips. And so I got them. Because if you go back to the last podcast, it's all about getting what you want. Like, don't wait around. I'm almost 40 years old. I've been wanting this for forever. And I'm like, why have I never gotten it? I mean, I could. It's easy to fix, you know. I just have to have the money and bear the pain. And guess what? I did. And it was kind of a congratulations to myself, not only for Happy Mother's Day, but for all the hard work I've been putting in at my job. And, you know, I've talked about a couple weeks ago, I was having all that crazy energy. And I was like, I've only felt like that in my life a couple of times. And every time it's like during when I'm manifesting something and something wild, crazy, amazing is about to happen. And it did. I got, I got what I wanted. And now this month I'm spending on grounding, playing outside, being in nature, and just enjoying time with my family. I was going to say slowing down, but I have not slowed down because the big project I'm working on I kicked it off and it's going well, but now I just need to structure it. And that's kind of been a draining thing that's been happening to me this past week. But I mean, it's not like in a bad, draining way. It's one of those things where you have to put in all the work now to see the fruits of your labor later. And you know what? Before this podcast, I pulled a tarot card and it was the 8 of Pentacles? I think it was the 8 of Pentacles or 7. I don't know. But it was one of those that's like, hey, you're about to be rewarded for all that hard work in your job. You're about to get, bonus, promotion, whatever. So I'm saying bring it, because that is totally what I have been working on. I did get the promotion already, but I also have this project going on and I'm excited about it because this is going to help us reach more people. Because if you don't already know, my day job, I do advocate for victims of domestic violence. So crazy how that works, how I have always had a passion and mission for that in life, and I get to do it in my day job. So cool. So cool. But that's not what this week's podcast topic is about. This week's podcast topic is about a question that I hear pretty often. And it is my boyfriend mean or is he abusive? Is he just an asshole or is he truly an abuser? And I have a question for you if you're asking yourself that. Does it really matter? Are you asking yourself that so you can have an excuse to stay if he's just an asshole and he's not abusive? Because, if he's abusive, everyone's like, oh, well, he's abusive. You got to leave him. But if he's an asshole, it's just another day, because a lot of men are assholes. Are you trying to justify reasons for not leaving? So that would be my first question back when someone asks that. Does it really matter? Do you want to stay in a relationship with an asshole, or do you want to stay in a relationship with an abuser? It's kind of one and the same. You're going to be unhappy either way. So first, ask yourself that question. If you're digging to figure out if he's abusive just so you can understand what's happening to you, then I'm about to explain it. But if you are asking yourself that so you can, excuse me, I told you I was sick. Don't dig into it and spend your time and energy on it so you can justify reasons why you're not leaving, because that's a load of bullshit. You do not want to be stuck in misery. So figure out why you're asking those questions in the first place. And to answer your question, if you want to know about abuse and if your boyfriend's just an asshole or abusive or a narcissist, we're not going to get into narcissist and abusive people. There's a lot of overlapping traits there, but the only thing I want to talk about today is going to be the signs of abuse. And I want to get into these in deeper detail on a podcast pretty soon. I was going to wait until October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is also when my book launches. And by the way, I finally uploaded the paperback for personal use, and I'm getting the paperback of it very, very soon because I ordered myself some copies so I could do promo stuff. So freaking excited. But anyways, getting back to the deep dive into the different abuses, that will come at a later date. But I do want to just quickly touch on how you know if you are being abused. And you can probably hear me clicking around in here because I'm trying to look for something called the power and control wheel. Now, this wheel is part of something called the Duluth model. And the Duluth model is an approach to understanding and addressing domestic violence that originated in Duluth, Minnesota in the 1980s. It's a widely recognized and influential model that focuses on addressing the power and control dynamics inherent in abusive relationships. So it's kind of like a mishmash of all kinds of things, like different structures, different processes, victim-centered approaches, bystander intervention, and all a bunch of really helpful resources. But today, we're going to talk about my favorite part of the Duluth model, and that is the power and control wheel. So I highly recommend looking this graphic up. I'll put a link in the show notes. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at this wheel and the types of abuse presented in it so you can know if you're dating an asshole or an abuser. And let me just pause and say real quick to make this easy and also kind of to base off the statistics that it's men that mostly commit these things. The pronouns I am going to use is him being the abuser when I read this out. So just a heads up. Hey, it could be him, her, they, whatever. But, it's ease of use and I'm all about efficiency these days. So let me get started. At the top of the power and control wheel, you have using coercion and threats. So that means making and or carrying out threats to do something to hurt her, threatening to leave her, to commit suicide, to report her to the welfare agencies, making her drop charges, making her do illegal things. So coercion, I work in my day job a lot with coercion, and it's threats. So one of the most popular threats I hear from abuse victims and also have experienced myself is, if you leave, I'm going to kill myself. And that's hard. But you know what? That's not your problem. So if you're being threatened and held basically hostage because you're terrified your abusive asshole partner is going to kill themselves, it's not on you if it happens. And I know this is a touchy subject, but this is the advice I received, and it worked for me. You can't sweat that. That's not your problem. Their life is not in your hands. This is a control tactic they're using to keep you there. Do some abusers really follow through with that? Of course. Do some not? Of course. That is just something that I have experience with, and I was held for a long time thinking if I leave, something bad would happen. And it didn't. Guess what, bitches? I'm free, and he's fine now. He's living his life, and I'm living mine. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to end like that, but you can't let those threats hang over your head and stop you. It's not your problem. It's not your fault. That's a manipulation tactic, okay? Don't let them threaten you. Don't let them coerce you into staying. So the suicide thing, yeah, I know it's rough. It's hard to talk about. That is definitely, though, one of those top things that I see as reasons why people are staying in these situations. You can think of coercion as, like I said, any kinds of threats. I'm going to hurt our pet. If you leave, I'm going to hurt the dog. If you leave, I'm going to take our children from you. You're never going to see your children. All those threats. And most of the time, they are just threats. And just from experience, if you're going, through a divorce with an abusive person, they're going to keep using those threats, and they're going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until you're finally free. The divorce is finally over. The papers have been signed. And even maybe so a little bit after, but eventually they're going to move on. They're going to find another person they can tear down and manipulate who's going to stay. So if you're hearing those threats from someone and the coercion, and you're feeling like I can't go because this might happen, because he told me this might happen if I leave him, then you could be being abused. Moving on, we have in another section, using intimidation, making her afraid by using looks, actions, gestures, smashing things, destroying his or her property, abusing pets, displaying weapons. So using intimidation can mean anything from punching holes in walls. I hear that a lot. Oh, well, he's not abusive because he's not hitting me. He's just hitting the walls. Well, guess what? You're going to be next. And they use that to show you, this is what happens when I'm angry. Be afraid of me. I'm punching holes in walls. I still have plenty of patched over walls in my house. Lots of them. I even have a door still that I have not figured out how to patch from a hole that my abuser created. And I hate looking at it. Every day it makes me sick. But it's also a reminder of where I came from and where I'm never going to let myself go again. So just because he's not hitting you does not mean he's not abusive. If you have broken things, if he glares at you a lot to intimidate you, to shut you up, or uses, his stature or anything to just be intimidating, then you could be being abused. Same with displaying weapons, if it's that bad, and hey, I've been there, done that, you should definitely know you're being abused. If your husband, partner, or whatever takes the gun out, polishing it up in front of you or something when he's mad or whatever, things like that, those are pretty obvious. But I do want to focus on the less obvious, because a lot of people are asking, is he abusive or an asshole? So the less obvious things would also be just using those intimidation tactics to scare you into silence, to make you stay, to make you shut up. And moving on to one that I think is probably one of the biggest types of abuse that is hard to measure. So we look at the statistics around abuse. I want to say it's 1 in every 3 women in the United States are abused. It's probably more because emotional abuse is very, very, very hard to measure. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So one of the sections is using emotional abuse, putting her down, making her feel bad about herself, calling her names, making her think that she's crazy, playing mind games, humiliating her, making her feel guilty. What falls under this little subject. Gaslighting. If you don't know what gaslighting is, it's basically when they make you feel crazy. You see something and you believe it because you saw it and you know it happened, but your abuser is going to convince you otherwise. And then they're going to turn it around on you and you're going to think, well, maybe I didn't see that. Maybe I am crazy. And they're going to tell you, you're crazy. And you're going to question yourself. And then you're going to get really confused and you're going to get into the fog. And you're going to live this foggy, confused life, and you're not going to know up from down because they have twisted your mind so much using these emotionally abusive tactics that you're not even going to know how to get out because you don't even believe yourself. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust your own eyes because they've convinced you otherwise. So that is just one little part of emotional abuse, gaslighting. Let me think of an example. What is an example of gaslighting? Here's one from my own personal history. There was plenty of times in my past marriage where I felt like my partner was having an affair and the signs were there. These signs were there, like the whole hiding your phone, don't let me touch your phone, can't see what you're spending your money on, things. And I would bring it up and I would like beg my partner, just tell me so I can quit guessing. Just tell me I'm not even going to be mad. That was a lie. But I really felt like there was another person involved. And I just wanted to know because I wanted to stop spending my time and energy on wondering and trying to figure it out, right? And trying to solve the mystery and look for clues. I didn't want to do that anymore. I just wanted him to be straight with me because I knew it was happening. Deep down, I knew it was happening. But he called me crazy. He's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're crazy. You're psycho, yada, yada, yada. And then I started thinking, well, I guess I am. Maybe I'm just this jealous, crazy person and I have no idea what I'm feeling and talking about and my emotions aren't real because I'm crazy. Guess what, bitches? Later after my divorce, he was having multiple affairs. It came out. So you're not crazy. They make you feel crazy. And that's gaslighting. So that's one of those not so obvious ways. So if you're starting to feel like, oh, am I crazy? I mean, he's turning everything around on me. Maybe it is my fault. No, it's not your fault. And more obvious emotional abuse is like putting you down or making you feel bad about yourself. Like it may be talking bad about your body or saying, oh, do you really need to eat that? If you, don't you want to lose a couple pounds? Do you really want to eat that? Just, making faces at you like you're disgusting, things like that. Humiliating you. Oh, that's a big one. Humiliating you. And you know what? I just realized I'm doing my deep dive into these right now and it's already at almost 20 minutes and I'm not going to do that to you all because it has to be broken up into pieces. So let's go through these a little bit quicker. Humiliating you. Absolutely. That is self-explanatory. We're going to move on to using isolation. So if your partner is controlling what you do, who you talk to, who you see, what you read, where you go, limiting your time outside, involvement, like, you can't be involved you can't be going to the parks, you can't be going shopping, you can't be going out with your friends, you gotta stay home, using jealousy to justify actions. So that would be the using isolation piece. And again, sorry, I just don't want to talk your ear off. We're going to do a deep dive into each and every one of these and turn them into its own podcast because I could go on forever about this topic. The next section is minimizing, denying, and blaming. So making light of the abuse and not taking your concerns about it seriously. Saying the abuse didn't happen, again, ding, 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 gaslighting. Shifting responsibility for abusive behavior and saying you are the one that caused it. We see that a lot. Like saying, well, you made me get angry. You made me hit you. You push my buttons. You make me do this. That's minimizing, denying, and blaming. And then another section is using children. making her feel guilty about the children, using the children to relay messages, using visitation to harass you, and threatening to take the children away. And that kind of goes back up to coercion and threats. So if that's happening to you, yes, he might be an abuser and an asshole. Because, hey, if they're an abuser, they're also an asshole. It kind of goes hand in hand. And then let's move on to male privilege. Ha ha ha. That was an evil, bitter laugh. I'm not sure where that came from. I guess because I think male privilege, and I'm like, ugh, mansplaining and all that crap. So under male privilege is treating her like a servant, making all the big decisions, acting like the master of the castle, being the one to define men and women's roles. And I see this a lot so my day job is global. I work with a lot of different cultures. And sometimes this male privilege piece is deeply rooted in certain cultures. And we see this over about, what's happening in, I think it's Afghanistan and also Iran. So it's like that whole morality police where women, they can't leave. And I could be wrong on those countries. So please don't blow up my inbox on, you got that wrong. Whatever. There is cultures out there that won't let women wear what they want to wear. They won't let women go outside without a male, what is the word? A dude watching their every move. Okay. I'm sorry. It's early and I can't think right now. But what I'm trying to say is it's obvious in those cultures because it's like, oh, well, I'm the man. I know best. You're not allowed to leave this house without someone watching you. That is a man. You're not allowed to show your hair because you're a woman and I'm a man and I'm superior to you. And that's very obvious. Here in the United States, I see that in the culture of religion as well. Maybe not the same religion, and I'm not going to call any names out on religions, but you see it here too, as in, I am the head of the house. You submit to me. And it's not always about religion, but they do use religion a lot. Spiritual abuse is a whole other subject. It's actually not on the power and control wheel. It should be. We'll talk about that one day. But I just want to talk about male privilege and how I've seen it played out mostly. And it is a lot tied to religion. So if your man's treating you like he sees you as some dumb woman and you're inferior to him, you could be being abused. And the last one that is on the power and control wheel, although I'm seeing so many opportunities. This is like an old wheel. This has to be an old wheel because I'm seeing so many opportunities to add more abuses in this. But the last one it talks about is using economic abuse. Ladies, this one is important. So this says preventing her from or keeping a job, making her ask for money, giving her an allowance, taking her money, not letting her know about or have access to the family income. I will never regret my years of being a stay-at-home mom. But if you're going to do that, you always need to have your foot in the door of a job or having some type of financial resources, because financial abuse is probably just as big as emotional abuse. If you're being abused financially and you have no money, that means you have no resources to leave. How are you going to leave when you don't have money? You have to have money. You have to either have a job or some way of making money or have money stashed. You got to have money. And I hate to say it, it sucks. I know, because a lot of us are, I was a stay-at-home mom. And a lot of us want to be stay-at-home moms. But if you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, again, you need a backup plan. And that's not saying I'll get a job in 5 years. That's saying if I was being threatened today, I would be okay because I have the financial resources to leave at a moment's notice. So economic abuse, that's why this one's so big. They know they're going to have you trapped if they're the ones making all the money and you don't have access to that money. So if they are manipulating you with money or from getting a job or from seeing the bank statements, and keeping all the control over the money, you could be being abused. And if you're in a relationship where you're like, well, I don't know anything about our finances, he takes care of all that. And maybe it's not even an abusive relationship, just word to the wise and big tip there, get involved in your finances. You need to know those things. It does absolutely affect you. You need to know your money situation. Why would you give your power away like that? No. There's not a lot of education out there for women in money, probably because the patriarchy. Yes, I'm saying it. Because, as women, we're told, well, don't go buy makeup. Don't go buy those lattes. That's the money advice women hear. But the money advice men hear is invest. Do these smart things with your money. But women, restrict yourself, right? Because, you're stupid with money. But look at me. I'm just getting off on a tangent. Again, we're going to go through financial abuse deep dive later. Maybe I'll even start doing that next week. That'd probably be good. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. So stay tuned in, and I'm going to go over each and every one of these in detail. I just wanted to address really quickly the answer to a question, I hear all the time. Is he abusive or is he an asshole? And now I hope, since this is the end of the podcast, you have an answer to that question. And better yet, I hope you have an answer to the question I asked you right off the bat. That first one, does it really matter? Why are you asking that question? Don't justify staying comfortable. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. And if that means leaving, which I hope if you're with an asshole or an abusive person, you do in a safe way, right? Check the resources in my show notes. They're there every single week. But I hope you don't stay stuck, because take it from me, I've been there and done that. It is a miserable life. And once you're finally liberated from all these tactics they're using to control you and make you miserable, that's when your life truly begins. And I can't even explain how good it feels to live your life, to make your own choices, and to have that freedom. Like, I am thriving, and I want to see you thrive too. So real quick, let me throw some witchy shit in here, because I am a big believer in the power of magic, because it has worked in my life. So let me give you a couple crystals real quick, and read out this list. They're protection crystals against negative energy. And I just want to give you a couple of samples of what you can pick up just to, put it in your bra. I personally have bracelets I wear all the time with some of these crystals. And just believe in yourself, believe in great, good juju energy, and start taking action. So here's a list of those crystals. Black tourmaline. This is known as powerful protective stone. Black tourmaline is believed to absorb and transmute negative energies. It can help create a protective shield around you, deflecting negativity and promoting a sense of security. I personally have a lot of black tourmaline, and that's what I put in my dark energy doo-doo bags. If you have not listened to that podcast, I highly recommend it. Amethyst. Love me some amethyst. Amethyst, I usually think of the calming stone, but it actually is believed to have a purifying effect, dispelling negative energies and promoting a sense of spiritual protection. And then one of my favorites, because I think it's one of the prettiest stones out there, and I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, it's labradorite. Labradorite is known for its iridescent flashes of color. It is believed to enhance intuition and psychic abilities while providing protection against negative energies. Labradorite can help shield your aura and prevent energy leaks. That is a very beautiful crystal. If you don't have one, I definitely recommend adding that to your stash. And then we have smoky quartz. It's known for grounding and protective properties, and hematite. Hematite is also a grounding stone that can help create a protective barrier around you. So that's just a couple quick little things you can add to your rituals and your juju and your plan of action to dump that mofo asshole, because you don't need that in your life. That's all I got for today. If you have any topics you'd like me to discuss, or if you have any stories you'd like me to discuss, you can find my, go to my Instagram. Should be in the show notes. If it's not, it's author Kat Adams, I think. I don't know. Just look me up on Instagram. And I have in my bio there a Google Sheet for suggestions on podcast topics, things you might want to hear me cover. And also if you'd like to share a story and also be a possible guest at some point interviewing, go fill that out. Let me help you. I want to know all the things. So be sure to check that out when you have a moment. Stay safe and have an amazing week. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the show, please leave a rating, a review. And if you know anyone who also might love the show or who could benefit from this information, please be sure to share it and subscribe. The more we get this out to people, the more people we can help. And I truly believe there's so many women who need to hear these words because so many women are feeling stuck. Also, if you're looking for me, you can usually find me on the gram at author Kat Adams, and be sure to head over to my website, and that's Kat Adams, Adams with a double D's.com. Subscribe to my newsletter for the latest information. Also, when you subscribe, you're going to get a free novella. And just be forewarned, my raunchy rom-com is as dirty as my mouth. So if that's your thing, go for it. It's super hilarious. But thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, please stay safe, and I'll see you on the other side.